Good morning, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, Commissioners. Thanks for taking a few minutes to consider my critical needs request today. A couple of tough acts to follow. My presentation is significantly shorter, just as a preface to it. As you're all aware, there are two divisions within my office. We have the Civil Division, which we'll be talking about today. I also have the Human Services Division, which is housed across the street at the Metro Building. We are at the full correct number of staff positions there. I don't have any critical needs associated with human services, so we're not going to spend much time on them. As far as today's discussion, I do need to provide a little bit of context with regard to litigation, employment, and code enforcement to explain my ultimate critical need for a full-time attorney that would be dedicated primarily to transactional work. So think land, water, real estate, operational day-to-day advice for the countywide elected officials as well as executive directors. Okay, strategic plan objective supported by this critical needs request is service quality, ensures continued timely and high quality legal support and development and related matters. I believe that we are currently providing timely support. However, the additional position I think will improve that as well as maintain the quality of support that we have ongoing. So operating indicators, litigation and employment. Civil litigation numbers have been extremely high for the last several years. You can see them listed there with a particularly large spike in the number of filings in 2022. I believe that that's a record for my office. And so far this year, as of the beginning of the month, we had 35 civil litigation filings this year. What these numbers don't necessarily capture, though, is the intensity of a given case. Several of them, particularly those filed late last year and through this year so far, are represented high amounts of discovery, high amounts of pretrial motion types of cases. So with that said, employment as well. Employment hearings, this would include termination appeals, unemployment hearings, EEOC, CCRD charges. 21, we had 23 of those. 2022, we had 15, then back up year to date so far this year at 24. Similar to civil litigation, we don't see any indication of the numbers of these necessarily slowing down. In all likelihood, they will increase. And then finally, code enforcement. This is an initiative that's been ongoing in my office since I was appointed about a year and a half ago. It is increasing our turn of code enforcement matters. It's quality of life issue. So you'll see the code litigation active numbers. First, for abatements are where we seek a court order and the county hires a contractor to go in and conduct a cleanup and the property owners build on the back end. There aren't as many of those necessarily as code litigation. Code litigation would seek a court order for the property owner to clean up their own messes and issues. So if you see the difference between 2022 and 2023, a significant increase in the amount of code litigation. We are engaging in a significant amount of alternative dispute resolution in these matters as well. But again, being a quality of life issue, we anticipate this continuing at a pretty heavy pace. So with transactional matters, county's land use, water, real estate, assessment, other infrastructure related transactional matters have also remained steady. County Attorney's Office continues to review files signed within EDARP. Those file types are listed here, but they are the types of files that typically wind up in front of the board. So you get legal eyes on those very early in the process. As far as the number of water reviews completed, we had 39 in 2021, 29 in 2022, and then year to date so far this year we had 26. Similar to other areas, we anticipate the transactional matters as a whole, particularly development related, continuing at least steady, if not in an uptick. So a little bit of history from the office. In 2020, Cole Emmons was a longtime attorney dedicated to land and water matters primarily. He retired, and there are two dedicated positions, or there were two dedicated positions for transactional matters. Cole's duties are listed under position number 2. At the time he retired, because of that large influx of litigation matters, his position was retooled for litigation at that time. I do believe that needed to happen. However, we're at a point currently where position 1, Lori Seago, has absorbed many of these duties, as well as Steve Klafke and myself taking on a number of them as overflow is needed. The critical need position that I'm seeking would actually replace that position number 2 and have, again, a dedicated transactional attorney, with the caveat that all attorneys in my office are required to be able to go to court, to be able to litigate matters as necessary, because as you all have seen, some of our transactional matters do lead to litigation, and it's easier to have a single attorney point of contact for those matters. So critical needs justification, seeking 1 transactional attorney to support ongoing and increasing county needs. The demand for litigation and code enforcement is anticipated to continue, if not increase. And the continuing need for land, water, real estate, support of countywide elected officials, and general transactional support requires an additional attorney. Final slide. Our budget folks provided this for me. This is my base budget. You'll see the general fund amount. This would support the civil division of my office, and then the restricted funding is primarily for that human services division. That would be state funding, and the increased budget for an additional FTE. Can I answer any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Hodges? Commissioner Williams.
I did have one. So on the employment law page, you had the EEOC complaints, and then you had one I didn't recognize. What is a CCRD charge?
Yes, ma'am. That would be the Colorado Civil Rights Division. I should have clarified that. Thanks for bringing it up.
That's okay. You know, I could always ask you to go ahead and give all of the abbreviations for the land use database. But
I have them.
oh, there you go. All right, but I think we're okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, just again, express my appreciation. I think you're counsel in service to the county, broadly to all the employees, but also I can say for me personally, I feel it's been timely and of high quality. So thank you for that great work. It's clear that the caseload is increasing, but even if the caseload isn't necessarily increasing by large numbers, I think the complexity of the cases are substantively increasing as we get into kind of more complicated kind of challenges. Also, you know, this board, certainly myself, is interested in, you know, every once in a while fighting back on things that come down to us from the state. So that increases the complexity there as well. So I appreciate your request for a transactional attorney. That seems reasonable to me. And it maybe, you know, if that particular individual were to handle more of the transactional kind of work, maybe that helps to free up your other attorneys for actual court hearings and so forth. I think that's part of the plan here, if I understand correctly.
Thank you, sir. It is. We do have some attorneys covering various overflow matters that I think that we'll be able to stay within our lanes. And again, the litigation influx has really driven a lot of the decision making since 2020 as well.
Great. Thank you very much.
Any other comments, questions? Commissioner Geithner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Really appreciate the huge amount of work that I know goes on. In addition to kind of the things that have been talked about, I know that there's a lot going on in terms of looking at, you know, planning information, and as well as, you know, the engineering criteria. There's a lot of different, you know, code changes and things that are being discussed, which I think is a great thing. I think we're at a place in the county when it's important to have those discussions about what we're doing and if it's all working. I know I've asked a whole lot of questions about water, and there's been a lot of time spent, you know, helping to dig into some of those issues. So I can absolutely see where, you know, a lot of this is just the changing environment that we are in as the county, and the hard questions that we are having to look at, the things we're having to reevaluate, navigating the challenges of changing state laws. And so I really do appreciate that to Commissioner Vanderwerf's point, we've got some number changes, but also it is really a matter of the substance of all of those cases. So I, for one, know that there's that's challenging to keep up with all of those requests, especially when we're looking at reviewing those things, looking at trying to find new solutions, which is a great thing to be doing. But it is challenging, and I appreciate you bringing this forward and think that there's a lot of value to be found here for us internally as accounting, which ultimately I think translates to value for our citizens.
Thank you, ma'am.
And I'll just wrap up if there are no other comments. As one of this board's 2 appointees, we have the opportunity to give you lots of feedback, and I believe in publicly praising. This is an opportunity to do that. Your office has dealt with so much this year, and the way that you've been able to, as you say, keep everybody in their lanes. I say keep us all out of trouble, and make sure that that everyone is doing as we should ultimately for the citizens. And you do all of that with without a whole lot of public praise, much less people understanding what the county attorney's office exists for. It's not just for our internal things or defending the county's lawsuits. As you said, your Human Services Division takes on all of those child welfare cases and many other things. And then you're also helping us on the employment law side. There are so many things that are unseen that your office does really to ultimately serve El Paso County citizens much better. And I'm grateful that you are at the helm of that as well. And I think we've been able to take kind of a strategic and tactical approach with you there. This position is one of those that will get us where we need to be with that. So
Thank you,
with
ma'am.
that, thank you.
Thank you. Y'all have blessed me with the best law firm I could imagine leading, so I really appreciate you.